I'd like to introduce you to our panel. Ed Laukas, Toyota's Vice President of Marketing, Performance, and Guest Experience is here with us. Ed, nice to have you here. As well as TRD's Vice President of Chassis Engineering, Andy Graves. And Casualty Design Group President Kevin Hunter is also in the house. Kevin, good to have you here today. Ed, going to turn the ball over to you now. It's all your show.
Good deal, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The guys that actually did all the work on this project are sitting here, but in the spirit of NASCAR, I'm the one that has to turn this into some type of a press conference. So I thought we'd start this off with something along the lines of what you have in a driver's meeting with these introductions. So, Robin, I'm not trying to make fun of you as I pull my glasses down because I got to read my card. But, so I just want, again, thank you all for joining us, and thank you to NASCAR for streaming this on NASCAR.com. So everyone that's watching on NASCAR.com, thank you, and I hope you enjoy this. We've got some very exciting news today, as Doug said, and before I get into that, let me go through this long list of dignitaries that we have here. First of all, joining us is my boss, Group Vice President and General Manager of the Toyota Division, is Bill Fay. President of TRD, and all of you are familiar with him, David Wilson. From Joe Gibbs Racing, Joe and JD Gibbs. Our three best friends at JGR until next year when it turns into four best friends. Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, and Kyle Busch. Michael Waltrip Racing. So before I go any further with introductions, so I got a text from Michael this morning. He's still looking for those votes on Dancing with the Stars. So I told him that I did him some love. So 1-800-HELP-MICHAEL. Or I'll have to deal with him. So, but as you know, Michael Waltrip Racing has been with us since 2007, since we joined the Cup Series. And because Michael's out doing his practice today, we have Ty Norris for Michael Waltrip Racing. And we also have Brett Moffitt is here, and then Clint Boyer. I'm going to make a comment about Clint. So this is the 2015 Camry that just went on sale. And Clint is also a Toyota dealer. So on Monday through Saturday, he pays attention to that. And then on Sunday, he pays attention to this one, right? So because Bill is here, you can spend a little time with him, and maybe there may be a little bit more inventory that goes to your dealership. So that Bill Fay is right over there. You can probably help him. It could work that way. You've done it before. So from NASCAR, we have a huge volume of dignitaries. And again, thanks for helping us with this with NASCAR.com. So Mike Helton, the two newest residents of Charlotte, Steve Phelps, Steve O'Donnell, Jim O'Connell visiting from New York. Glad to see him here. And then the next guy, I have to tell you, I refer to him as the father of the Tundra Airtight. Gene. The one thing about Gene is that I always count on him because people mispronounce his last name a lot more than they do Laukas. So I thought I had a bad name, but Gene, you always make me feel better. So Gene's on a mission. So again, we're here to unveil our 2015 Camry Cup car. It's going to debut at Daytona in 2015. Interesting story behind that is that back in 2012, we were working through the last Gen 6. Right around October and November, I got a call from Andy Graves. He said, I'm going to send you these pictures. And these pictures are the new Gen 6 car, and I really want to get your opinion on how it looks. So he sends over the email, I take a look at it, I call him back, and I go, Andy, that car looks fantastic, and I'm sure that the collaboration that you had with the other two manufacturers, this thing's going to be fantastic for NASCAR, it's going to be great, but you only have one problem. It's only going to be around for 2 years. Dead silence at the other end of the phone. So Andy did not know there was a redesign coming, so as soon as we got on the track in Daytona last year, immediately they started the design process for what you're going to see in a couple of minutes. So the consistency of the branding, I think, is going to be the most important thing. Even our current Gen 6 car that's out there looks a lot like the current production vehicle. The guys at Kelty, Kevin Hunter's group, and Andy have done even a better job of bringing what you see here from a production perspective that just hit the streets and bringing it to our Cup car. So now I'm going to ask our drivers to come up. And I think Andy and Kevin, you're going to help too. We're going to have a setup for a photo. So we almost, one other point, we almost could have avoided this press conference in its entirety because this car was under wraps at Joe Gibbs Racing, and a certain driver that won't be named and took a picture of it, sent it to me and said, I'm going to tweet this in about 30 minutes if you don't call me back. So I was lucky that I wasn't on an airplane. So it didn't happen, so now here you all are. So, all right, so we ready? Yep.
We need to look at this in the face, but I'm going to actually lift it so you can see it.
Are we ready? Go ahead.
Hey, remember we talked like now. Beautiful. Okay, everybody look back this way, please.
Stop.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. So outside the media center, we also have the 2015 Xfinity Series Camry that will be out here that you take some photos of when we get done. So now that you've heard enough from me, and now I'm going to bring up the guys that actually did the work and give you a little bit of an overview as to what actually went into this whole process. So, Mr. Andy Graves.
Thanks, Ed. You know, when we first saw the renderings of the 2015 Camry, knew that it was going to be a really exciting challenge to take the styling and the characteristics from the production car and keep it in the race car, and yet at the same time maintain the performance that we were looking for on the racetrack. There's no way that TRD could do that without the Kelty Design Group and its president, Kevin Hunter. The collaboration between TRD and Kelty has been outstanding. This is actually the fourth NASCAR collaborative project that we've completed now, and everyone just keeps getting better and better. The 2015 project, actually, Ed was not joking. I remember to this day, I was at Phoenix in November of 2012 when he told me that he wanted to have a new car on the track in 2015. I didn't take him serious until we got to Daytona Speed Weeks in 2013. But once we determined that that really was the goal of management, we talked with NASCAR, we informed them, and we started outlining the project goals. TRD sat down with our two teams, Joe Gibbs Racing and Michael Waltrip Racing, outlined the goals that we wanted to see out of the new car, and armed with that, the design parameters from NASCAR, and then also all the valuable feedback from all of our drivers during the early portion of the 2013 race season right on, and how the car drove in traffic, how the new Gen 6 car, the pros and the cons, that all went into this vehicle, and that's how we measured ourselves during this project. The first design iteration we actually got in April of 2013, and through that, so now we're on the 18th month of our development cycle, and it just ended in mid-August when we had the final submission wind tunnel test with NASCAR and our other OEM partners. During that approval process, we've learned a lot. We've kicked back iterations of the design of the Camry, and actually what you see here and what was approved was the 5th design. So again, can't say enough for Kelty and Kevin and Scott Roller and everything that those guys did. They would come up with a design, give it to us at TRD, and through computational fluid dynamics, flow visualization, and then also wind tunnel testing, we would measure how that iteration was to our design metrics and our goals, and then we would kick it back, and they would try to keep fine-tuning that design and keep as much styling as we could in the car. So it's been a great process, and with that, I'd like to have Kevin come up and try to highlight some of the styling from the 2015 production Camry that went into the race car.
Yeah, so this is really a huge task, trying to really take what's here and squeeze it into there. And you know, there are a lot of performance parameters, of course, aerodynamic issues, and then NASCAR's requirements. So mainly it's trying to take this, and I always say it's like making a caricature of this into there, and we're trying to really amp up the aggressive nature of this car and really turn it into a really killer race car. I think the first thing you'll notice is that it's a very slippery design. This is a lot rounder front fascia than the current Camry Sprint Cup car. And with that, the headlights are pulled way back, and everything seems to emanate from the emblem and the brand identity and sweep back through all the way to the rear. We took and we combined the upper and lower intake to make a really strong, wide, aggressive air intake, and that's part of our brand direction currently in Toyota, and that's to create more expressive design, more bold design. And we call it under priority because it's all the intakes from below, and it's a huge gaping mouth. So we hope it looks intimidating and does a great job of performing on the track, and I think it will, working with Andy's guys, and I think everyone worked really hard on it, did a great job on this car. And really appreciate everybody's effort to get to this point. So with that, I'll turn it back to Andy. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. I just want to take a quick minute before I turn it back over to Doug to say this weekend is actually the 5th anniversary of a meeting that Robin Pemberton and NASCAR called with the OEMs down to the tech center. And at that time, it was a pretty low profile meeting just to say, hey, what can we do? Let's start thinking outside the box for our future. And from that meeting is what derived the Gen 6 platform. And you know, in order to produce cars, race cars that we put on track that closely resemble what we sell in the showroom is a far cry from what we had 5 years ago. So I'd just like to shout out to NASCAR and thanks for your vision and allowing and working with us, and also our friends at Ford and Chevrolet and Dodge, who also contributed heavily to the entire project. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Andy. A lot of folks don't realize that before that phone call that day from Ed, Andy's hair was darker and he had more of it. It's taking a toll on him there, Ed. All right, we're going to open this up for some media questions for the moment. If you will raise your hand, we'll recognize you. Please state your name and your affiliation. We have got Megan on one side and Ashley on the other to bring you your microphones. Tom, we're good. Tom Jensen, we'll start with you right here. Then we'll go Bob, and then we'll go up here to Stan.
Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Andy, this is for you. What was the hardest technical challenge doing this new car?
You know, I'm spoiled from the aspect that Kevin and the Kelty guys do such an outstanding job with this. Us, and our biggest challenge is taking the feedback that all of our drivers give us, and that's the way the car handles in traffic, the transient conditions, the transient aspects of the vehicle on the track, and try to understand how to measure and do a better job of refining that. So that was actually probably the hardest part, Tom.
All right. Let's go here to Bob, then we'll go back up to Stan.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. Andy, are the wind tunnel numbers exactly the same? Is there any sort of aero advantage or improvements on this car compared to the 2014 car?
You know, going back, Bob, to what we did with the common elements and the Gen 6 platform, it was the goal of all the OEMs to make sure that we had some parameters that we could build the cars to that wasn't going to give any one particular manufacturer an advantage, yet would give us the freedom to put the styling in the car to, once again, resemble what we sell on the showroom floor. So from those aspects, the numbers are the same. We feel really confident in all of our makes. It's the things that can't be measured in the wind tunnel is where we worked. And we've had a rough year in 2014, and we feel like this car is going to put us back on track in 2015. Steve?
Oh, he said why real quick, and you might want to answer that real quick.
Well, Jamie, Raj, and Jim are sitting right there, so I'd rather not tell you right now, Bob.
Don't worry, guys. He's the same guy for us, too. He hired me.
Did you get your follow-up there, Bob? Okay, Stan.
All right, Stan Creekmore with CompetitionPlus.com. Andy, I'll direct this at you, but either one of your individuals next to you could throw in if they would like to. In way past decades of this sport, what consumers thought was very significant in what showed up on a racetrack. How much did you include Toyota consumers in this process, or did you simply limit them to those that the consumers being the drivers that would drive these cars?
I'll let Ed or Kevin take over as soon as I'm done. But at Toyota, I feel like under Akio and the new era, we're doing a great job of being bolder and getting more aggressive with styling with the new Toyotas. So it's pretty easy for me to basically piggyback off that platform and build exciting race cars. And the Camry now, at the end of this year, we're looking at the 13th straight year that it's the best-selling car, and that speaks volumes in itself, Stan.
Kevin, you want to make a comment about the styling with the?
Yeah, I mean, mainly we generated the production design at our design studio in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and sometimes now we know we're in NASCAR now, so I think when we're designing the fascia of these new Camrys, I think in the back of our mind is that it has to be a race car too. So we're getting a lot more aggressive design. We really didn't. I don't think we really talked to consumers about the race car version, but we had great reaction to the production car, so we knew if we just amped that up even further, it would make a really great race car.
Yeah, so we did some research when the first Gen 6 was coming and asked how important it was to the consumer and to the NASCAR fans. And every different type of NASCAR fan, whether it be a casual fan or somebody that's intensely involved in it week to week, said it was a huge deal for them to be able to see something on the racetrack that had some similarities. Now, they understood the safety measures and the engine and all those different things would definitely be different, but some similarity, and I think that's a little bit of a throwback.
Any other questions? Anybody else got anything? Al?
Yeah, Al Pierce from Auto Week. For any of y'all, what was the timeline? When was the first piece put down? What were the progressive moments that led to this? And will this car go to Daytona next year completely untested on the racetrack?
It was, I think the design first started in April of 2013. Our first wind tunnel test, actually putting parts in the tunnel, was in January of this year. So, we have such strong faith in our CFD capabilities and what we're looking for. I think we were on actually version 2 or version 3 before we actually even hit the wind tunnel with it. We felt fairly confident. It was a long process, but it will be track tested and have hit the racetrack before we go to Daytona next year for sure. Yes.
All right, and we're going to wrap up here with Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. If you could take all that we're looking at there and pick out one thing you'd like the race fans to remember about the design or look of this car, what would it be?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, the front is critical. It's the face, it's the expression. So that's, of course, that's the area that we spend the most time on, and we have the most freedom actually to try to match the identity of the production car. So, you know, I hope they see a powerful race car, an aggressive race car. It looks intimidating, looks fresh, looks slippery. So I think it meets all those requirements.
Yeah, same thing. I think the front end is so bold looking, and obviously it was key to the design. So I would agree with Kevin. I'd like that to be the face of the car.
Yeah, so that's 3 for 3, Claire. So, you know, we sell 400,000 of these per year, and Camry has always been known as the safe bet, and this is really the first, from a styling perspective, the first move to really have an aggressive stance with the Camry. And so its translation over from the production vehicle onto the racetrack, I think it's going to make a big statement. And I actually think we're going to have that out on the track tonight. It's actually going to be pre-race. It's going to be out on the track, so you get a chance to see, and we'll see how the fans react to it when it gets out there.
And by the way, Kevin, Andy, Ed, Steve O'Donnell, a couple of other folks from NASCAR will be available here for one-on-ones a little bit later on. I think right now we're going to transition into a couple of photographs with Toyota officials and some of the drivers.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and do that right now. And by the way, there is the Xfinity Series version of this car parked outside, so you can see it right outside the media center, the redesigned 2015 Camry for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So